While everybody is taking a seat, I want to give a very warm welcome to have Mrs. Patty Sudkamp back in the house. And we have Mrs. Rebecca Reckers back in the house after Mr. Hawk. Are we calling him Hawk? Hawthorne. Yay. So congratulations. All right, and we'll go ahead and Mr. Brian Nevins, would you like to do our invocation, please?
If you please pray with me. Dear gracious and loving Father, thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing the responsibilities of our own well-being. Thank you also for the freedom to gather and direct our lives. We pray for Mayor Fetty, for our city manager, Matt Kramer, and our city council, whom we regard with gratitude for their service. Lord, we desire to live our lives in peace. And so we ask that you graciously grant our city leaders the ability to work together in harmony when there is honest disagreement. Unity above all for the sake of city progress, with the setting aside of personal differences and agendas. Wisdom to govern, amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times. A sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, insight to create an environment where compassion is encouraged, personal peace in their lives, and joy in their task as they serve those who elected them. We pray for the agendas that will be set before them in the coming days, weeks, and months. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved friendship city of Erlanger. And we pray these in the most blessed name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you very much. I now call the March 5th, 2019 regular meeting of the City Council to order. I ask that you please rise to pledge the flag. Okay, Ms. Hoffman, can you please take roll?
Mr. Burke? Here. Mr. Cahill? Ms. Kyle?
Here.
Mr. Skidmore?
Here.
Ms. Sutton? Here. Ms. Cahill? Here. Mr. Meyer?
Here.
Ms. Skidmore?
Here.
Ms. Pitts?
Here.
Mr. Nicely? Ms. Reckers?
Here.
Mr. Hermes?
Here.
Okay, you've received a copy of the minutes for the February 5th, 2019 regular council meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to be made at this time? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt as presented. Mrs. Kyle, do I have a second? Mr. Meyer, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, you've received a copy of the agenda for today's meeting, March 5th, 2019. Are there any additions to be made at this time? Okay, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented. Mrs. Kyle and Mrs. Sudkamp. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, I'd like to welcome our business spotlight today, Miss Cynthia Waldemeier. If you'd like to come, she's the owner of Call to Post, and she'd like to tell us a little bit about her business. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. My name is Cynthia Waldemeier, and I'm an Erlanger resident with my husband now for years. I am really proud to say that I'm a resident of the Commonwealth of Kentucky and have been at various times in my life for 30 plus years. And I've lived all over the United States. and in Europe, and a little further down south in Louisville. So it's an honor to be here at your city council meeting, especially on such a great night for the fire department. I'm really excited to be here. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet, and if you didn't get your sweet, I have some cookies in the back. Please help yourself. I've never seen firemen not eat. I've got one up here if you need one. Please don't be shy. So I have Call to Post Vintage, which is several booths in the Florence Antique Mall, actually. I am proud to live here, and I am excited to tell you a little bit about my business. I started in 2013 with a small little 80 square foot booth, and in short order, after 3 months, I expanded to other booths, and I added social media, which was Facebook at the time. And I wasn't even on Facebook, so it was rather a challenge for me. And I am sure that Facebook is one of the reasons why I have done so well over the years. So last month, I've added Instagram. My younger customers kept on saying, "Are you on Instagram? Are you on Instagram?" And I wasn't blessed with children. I said, "No, I'm not on Instagram. I'm just getting the swing of things with Facebook, but I will get on there soon." So I'm on there, and it hasn't even been 30 days yet, and people are ordering from all over. It's kind of crazy how people find you. It's just a really small world. So I'm on social media. It'll give you an idea. Facebook goes back to 2014, so there's lots to see there. But enough talk about that. I'll show you eye candy, and you'll get a better idea of what Call to Post Vintage is all about. I was a designer and a merchandise manager, and I'm still a designer at heart. So I am not concerned with things pedigree. The antique business has changed a lot in the last 10 years, and I mix old with new and vintage. So what you see there is a sampling of some of the things that I offer. I'm particularly fond of horses and rode when I was younger, and coming from Louisville and being a part of the Derby and the whole experience, we're known for that all over the world. So I always have what I call I have a horsey booth in one area. I obviously don't have a POS system because I don't own the mall, so I have a million spreadsheets and try to crunch my data from social media and my spreadsheets. And I buy what I like, but I also listen to my customers, and they tell me what they want. And I'm not sure what this says about my customers, but the drunkenness prohibited sign is my bestseller. Don't know what that means. So now I have 360 square feet, and I am constantly adding new things. I am on trend, but I don't like to say that I'm trendy. And unless you're living under a rock, you've probably heard of Chip and Joanna Gaines and Magnolia, which had a huge effect on home decor, gift industry, and antiques. The Fixer Upper sign, for all the years they had television show, was one of my best sellers. So I like to say I'm on trend, but I don't exactly follow all the trends. I love that rusty truck. I have a thing for trucks. This is my horsey booth. It's hard to tell in this picture, but there's lots of trophies and equestrian items. I sell smalls or accessories, small home decor pieces. When I first started, I would put a price tag on my display tables on the far back leg, bury it, and put a crazy price on it, hoping it wouldn't sell, and they always sold. And I'd come in, and everything would be on the floor. So when I opened this booth, I got this beautiful piece at a bargain and thought, I'm not even going to price it. So when I installed this right before Christmas and put the berries literally next to that platter up near the pine and got off the ladder, a woman said, "How much is that?" And I said, "Oh, the platter?" And she says, "No, the furniture piece." And I said, "Gosh, I just moved into this booth today, and I just set this up for Christmas. This is my big quarter coming up. If you're really interested, I'll sell it to you after Christmas if you can wait." She said, "Sure." And I thought she wouldn't say that since I told her she'd have to wait 90 days. So I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? So I said, well, and she said, "Well, how much is it going to be?" And I said, "How about $1,800? Thinking she'll never buy this and I can still use it. And she says, "Great." I gave her my card and thought I'll never hear from her again, and quite frankly, forgot about her. January 15th, I get a call from the mall, and they said, "There's a lady here with her husband that said you would sell that piece in that AA2 booth. Are you going to sell it? And I said, it's the one I talked to before. It's $1,800. And she said, oh, yeah, they told us the price. We just need a stock number. So it's very interesting. I could use more room for furniture, but they will only lease like 5 booths to one person. So I'm sort of out of room. But it's an opportunity that I'd love to pursue. This is another example of I call it my Kentucky accent. Because I was a designer, I get some great opportunities. I meet people that are designing hotels. I'm working on a hospitality project now in Louisville that's going to use a lot of our horse heads. I work with some country clubs. I've met jockeys, jockey agents, which is quite interesting. They find the ride for the horse, for the jockey. All sorts of fascinating people when I'm there working on the booth. But this gives you an example of the Kentucky decor. This is a rustic farmhouse look, which is very popular. If anyone is a farmer or into chickens, you might recognize that nesting box there. This one was 5 holes across, 3 holes high. So why not put Victorian transferware in it and hotel silver? Actually, that sold to a woman who put it in her dining room, and I suggested she really power wash it because it's kind of, it was a real chicken coop. But this is the type of thing that I sell. This is more of a modern farmhouse look, cleaner lines, black and white, enamel. Again, it's a mixture of old, new, and milk glass, very, very popular. I call this the gardening style. Even though a lot of people don't garden, they can throw a bench on their front porch, a galvanized watering can, a potted plant, and boom, you're into gardening style. It always does well, and we're hoping spring arrives soon. This is another look at some gardening, and I always have seasonal and change it, and I think that's the other reason that it's been successful is that it's never static. Every 3 months I change pretty much everything and give it a new look for the season and whatever's selling. And the other thing that I think is really important today with everything Amazon, everything commodity, to do localization and to take pride in where you live. And I do a lot of personalization of signs, shelf, little signs, big signs, any requests from anyone. I did Mayslick, Kentucky the other day, I do it, and I think that makes it fun. Any questions? Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Cynthia.
You're welcome.
If you guys are heading out into the lobby at any time, take a look at our display case. She was nice enough to come here and put all kinds of beautiful black and white things in there. And there's a lot of Erlanger items. And there's a couple of really neat pictures. There's a picture of the old Erlanger City building that she found. So when I guess it was the post office, maybe? Yeah. Yeah, so take a look at it. It's really neat. Thank you again for being here. Make sure you guys get her cookies. Okay, next is the oath of office ceremony for Rick Bohl and Scott Lewis. If you guys want to.
Good evening. Hi, Patty. Good to see you back. You see these dress uniforms. It's usually for either a promotion or a retirement, although tonight's ceremony will be based on promotions due to the upcoming retirement of Captain Hucker. So with his upcoming retirement, it opens positions within our department for shift captain, and that opens up the openings for shift lieutenant. So tonight, we're going to be swearing in 2 individuals. We'll start with Scott Lewis. Scott is a Dayton boy. I love Scott because Scott's been in this business longer than I have. And I can only say that to one person, and that would be Scott Lewis. Scott began his firefighting career in 1984 with the Newport Fire Department, where he spent 5 years. He then went to the Airport Fire Department in 1989 until, goodness, I know he started, when did you retire from there? 2006. He's been with Erlanger part-time as a firefighter paramedic since 2004. but he got a full-time position with the department in 10, so he's approaching 10 years with our department. He's going to be promoted to lieutenant tonight, and you will see the experience from these two individuals. They've both been doing this for a long time, so we're very pleased and very lucky to have this type of experience with us. With him tonight, I think Tessa, his girlfriend, is going to hold the Bible. He's got two of his children here, and that's Hannah, that's Connor, and the little guy running around, which I keep calling Scotty because it is definitely right out of that little boy is Scotty. That's Daniel. So they're here to celebrate. Tessa and Scotty, you want to come up and we'll have the presentation? Are you prepared? Yeah.
Okay. Do you, Scott Lewis, solemnly swear to do your duty as a fire EMS shift lieutenant for the city of Erlanger to the best of your ability, to serve your commanding officers with respect and dignity, to serve the citizens of the city of Erlanger with compassion, courage, and integrity, and to uphold the laws and constitutions of the United States of America, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and the city of Erlanger? So help you God. Very good.
Assistant Chief McQuarrie is going to be doing the pinning of both individuals tonight, and it's not that they don't trust me, it is, which they probably shouldn't, but it's the fact that Dave has worked on shift with Scotty and Rick, and these are kind of his guys, so we thought it would be nice. Congratulations. You want to say anything? It's all yours.
I appreciate the confidence that the chief and you all have in me. First place, the only place I worked that I did not have an officer's position yet, so I'll do the best I can. We got a great team, management team, and we also have a great bunch of guys and gals on the department, so they're going to make my job easy. But I'll do the best job I can for you. Thank you.
I think his paramedic number is what, like 8? There's a lot of experience right there. He was a medic for a long time. It's a lot, and you know how vital experience is, especially in our business. Next individual, Rick Bowl. Rick's goal in life is to work for every department within the city of Erlanger. Many of you know Rick, of course. Rick grew up in Erlanger. He started with the rescue squad, yeah, that's right. I'm calling it right. Is that right, Patty? The rescue squad. Rick started with those folks back in 1990. He then went into dispatch from 1995 to 1997, joined the police department in 97 to 2008. Somewhere along the line, just educated himself and got a lot smarter and joined the fire department in 2008. In 2014, I had the pleasure of promoting him to lieutenant. And once again, I get the honor tonight to promote him to shift captain. Rick, do you want to come up? I know his wife Susan is here, and I saw Chloe and Ethan, and I believe his son Ethan is going to be holding the Bible tonight. Or they're all going to do it. It's a family affair.
Do you, Richard Bowl, solemnly swear to do your duty as a fire EMS shift captain for the city of Erlanger to the best of your ability, to serve your commanding officers with respect and dignity, to serve the citizens of Erlanger with compassion, courage, and integrity, and to uphold the laws and constitutions of the United States of America, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and the city of Erlanger? So help you God.
Where do I begin? It all started back in 1970 when I was born. I want to thank everybody, including my wonderful family. Everybody's here. Always been supportive. Fire department, police department. I'm really blessed. I think about that every day. I've got the greatest job in the world, and the greatest life in the world. So, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hahn, do we have any citizens' comments? Okay. Okay, we have Victoria Seaver and Aaron Kraft. Yes, please. Thanks for being here.
So I emailed every one of you, I believe, that you received my email and our concerns with the bus not coming down our cul-de-sac to pick up our children. It's really a safety issue, so we're asking that you all do what you can to make the bus allowed to come back down and pick up our children. I have a 10-year-old. She has a 6-year-old and a 10-year-old. We got 22 signatures from everyone on our street petitioning to not park in the cul-de-sac. So they agree with us. It is an issue with the fire department, also with the ambulance, the EMTs to turn around because they can't get the vehicles around as well. And it's just one car that's parking there, so we're asking that whatever you all can do to make this happen. We just got 1 day notice, so it happened on Thursday, and then it started Friday. So we're asking whatever you all can do to make that happen. We're just asking for a sign. We don't even mind if it's from this time to that time, just so the buses can get down our street and pick up our children. So
We have a majority of the houses, so 22 out of 30 signed the petition, and the other 8
weren't
they
home.
weren't home, or
Yeah.
we didn't ask them because they were part of the problem.
Yeah. They weren't going to give us their signature. We didn't even ask.
Yeah, can I get a copy of the
Yes.
signatures if you don't mind?
And then also, here is, I mean, I'm sure you can Google it too, but there's a copy of like the cul-de-sac and the parking in it. And then I measured on Google Maps, it's 922 feet from my house to the bus stop. And then also, you also know that about that, it's right on the corner.
Yep.
I mean, and I respect people's privacy, but when it involves the safety of my children, I have an issue with that. Okay, there's the distance, and then here is the signatures.
Okay, thank you very much.
We also have a handicapped child that lives next door to us that if his parents decide to let him ride the bus next year, because right now he's in preschool, he's not going to be able to pick it up either. So,
And who said that about the buses? Is that the Kenton County
Yes.
Bus Garage?
Actually, here it is right here. This is the letter that we received on the 27th.
Okay.
And then it's going to start, and we didn't get it until Thursday, and then it started on Friday.
Okay.
And I work, and I can't pick up my child from school.
and then I have an infant, and I'm essentially a single mother because my husband works out of town, so he's sleeping when they get on the bus, and he's napping when they get home off the bus.
Okay.
And we try to be neighborly, and it didn't work, so.
All
And we
right.
don't want to like burden the police with us saying, oh, they're parking here, they're parking here. We just want a sign. That's all. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Tom Cahill had asked that this be added to the agenda for the committee meeting in March. I have done some initial analysis myself, and then Public Works did the same, and they made their recommendation. So once we discuss this a little bit, I'll send out an email to kind of let you know what the staff's thoughts are on this, and then we can discuss in 2 weeks what your guys' decision is on it, and then we can go from there, if that's good with everybody else.
Just a question, Matt, is there legislation required to make a change there? There is? Okay. I wasn't sure.
You said,
I mean, we can look at different options at the committee meeting.
Okay.
Did you say yes to
Yeah.
that? I would think that yeah, it should be.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if we needed to actually put something in an ordinance or if it was something that we could just decide, you know, hey, we're gonna, no parking in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, well, there's, between some of the emails I've received, we've gotten everything from no parking in any cul-de-sac in any place in Erlanger to just that street. So, you know, I think once we discuss it, kind of goes, the staff will give you just some pros and cons to the whole situation, and then we'll kind of go from there and make the decision.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if we're just talking one sign, that would be something that the executive branch could do, but if we're looking at something broader, you know, I think that would be best if we did it legislatively.
And you guys can come to the committee meeting. 7 o'clock, what, the 19th? Come on back. Okay.
I have a comment. That's going to be a long 2 weeks for these people. With the other issue that's going on up there at the corner that we're kind of skirting around and not saying it out loud, I think.
There's a sex offender that lives up the street, and that's what they're concerned about.
But I'm,
Well,
What time does the bus,
Could we put up a temporary sign that says no parking in the cul-de-sac?
I mean, legally, we absolutely could.
I would do that. That or have the police sit up there when the bus comes and goes for 10 minutes.
I think the same thing. We should have a temporary sign up until we decide what we're going to do. And then, as the lady said, you could even put a time on there, no parking between, figure out when the bus comes, when, you know, with a little give there to make sure we're covering all our bases. Just put a temporary sign up, that would do it, until we can discuss it, because I feel like they do. If my child is in danger, you know, that's kind of scary.
I have, of course, an opinion, which is why everyone's looking at me. But I don't have all the facts either. So, you know, I don't like to make decisions based on one or two neighbors that are here, based on, you know, I don't know what the rest of the city is doing. Do buses go down to every cul-de-sac in every city? Or for the rest of the city, I don't think that's true. What I don't want to do is set a precedence that we immediately say no parking into a cul-de-sac just because of one complaint and one person or two families that don't want to walk to the top of the street to drop their kids off, when that might be the same situation at 10 other streets. So that's my only concern. I don't like to jump into things. I like to thoroughly, as you guys know, plan this out, really research it, so we're not just making rash decisions based on, you know, one or two citizens. There's 19,000 citizens here that we need to be representing. Again, that's all my opinion. I don't have all the facts on all of it. I know from my personal experience that, you know, buses usually don't, from where I used to live, we always dropped off the top of the street, and that was common practice because of cul-de-sacs. You know, the buses going down in the cul-de-sacs is a hazard. You know, PD takes reports for bus accidents all the time. Even the most minor bus accident, they have to take a report for. So do we really want buses down these cul-de-sacs? This particular cul-de-sac is a larger cul-de-sac. It's, you know, part of Kenton County's approved subdivisions even now, compared to some others. We have about 6. Of course, my computer shut down here and I can't get it back up. But we had about, I think, 6 in the city that are no parking. That's due to their size. Public Works has looked at this, and it does have an adequate size for a cul-de-sac. So there's a lot of factors, I think, that we need to look into before we're making rash decisions and really play it all out. So, yes.
I certainly can appreciate what you're saying, Mr. Kramer. And I think that is a very logical and a very safe approach. But, you know, I do also appreciate that these women have taken time from their evening and away from their family. You know, it's easy for us to say, you know, exactly what you're saying when we're paid to be here or we're elected to be here. They've taken time out of their evening to be a part of this, and so they certainly, in my opinion, they've earned a little bit more attention to have taken the time this evening.
I was in a similar situation to you. Tom Cahill and I live on a cul-de-sac, and we had a sex offender that lived at the stop sign. And the bus would not go down there. We had to have the kids walk up the street to the cul-de-sac, right across the street from the sex offender. And this went on for 5 years till he eventually moved. And we set up with the kids that went on the bus, a person each day would walk them up. We'd take turns walking the kids up, or, you know, parents would. That's how we worked it out. I don't know if that's an option for you all or not, but that's what we did for 5 years. So it stinks. It stinks. I totally understand.
That's okay. If you're not on the microphone, then people at home can't hear you, so.
We actually have one of the longer streets. It's up a hill and around a corner, and the bus does go down most of the cul-de-sacs from what I can understand, except for the shorter ones where you can see from the end of the street from all the houses. And also, he said that his bus is the largest school bus that they have in the system just because of the route that he has. It's so big. So that's part of the issue. And you know, I completely agree I walked to the end of the street too when I was younger. However, my husband works out of town. Her husband works nights. She's getting ready for work, and I also have an infant child that I have. And so, I mean, this has been going on. I mean, this bus has come down. We're in the 4th grade now, so our whole time that we've lived there, the bus has come down and picked up our children. So this is a big change for us. And, you know, I installed cameras on my house to where when they walk off the bus, if I'm not home, because I'm usually home right about that time, but I can watch them walk into my house. So I can only protect my kids as much as I can, but it's not always feasible for me to walk up the street. The middle school bus is still coming down and picking up the middle schoolers, but it's the elementary bus that's refusing to come down. And the middle school bus is also using my driveway to pull around.
Mr. Gatlin, I think based on what you said, if we're going to do something holistically, that's got to be legislation, right? And that's not going to be quick. There are certainly some executive options that could be done, but that would really be up to Mayor Fetty and Mr. Kramer, right?
Right. But it almost sounds like it might be a school issue as much as anything if the middle school bus is going down the cul-de-sac, but the elementary isn't.
He's only able to go down it because he's pulling around in the driveway, my driveway. Halfway into my driveway, he's pulling up. The elementary bus doesn't do that. So he almost hit the car behind him, and that's what caused the issue for him to say, I'm not coming down there any longer. And
different start times.
our bus is not there any longer, and our bus doesn't come until 4:15.
And it may not be a school issue if there weren't cars parking there, you know.
I have a question. Is every seat on that bus full, or is the bus actually too big for the amount of kids that it's hauling?
I'm unsure. We're one of the first people to be picked up and the last to get dropped off.
I've been there, done that.
Oh, okay. I'm unsure because the bus, we're the last to get dropped off and the first to get picked up. And there's multiple children on our street. Most of them are at the top of the street.
And we did receive 22 signatures out of 30 houses on our street So everyone has an issue with turning around in the cul-de-sac. It's not just the buses, it's also our neighbors.
What time do the buses run apart? I mean, what times one come, what times the other one come?
The middle school is around 7:10, and then the elementary is 7:55.
Oh,
And then
wow,
the middle school's 3:15, and then ours is 4:15.
Wow, that's pretty far apart. Can't do anything there.
Have you spoken with any of your neighbors? I mean, would any of the other moms in the neighborhood be willing to,
We live on mostly, like, most of the people down by us are older. And then
We're the only ones that have kids at the bottom of our
well,
subdivision.
that doesn't matter. They still might want to help out.
Well, 2 of them are handicapped. And-
Yeah, I can relate to that now. Yeah, you
And
had to
then-
bring it up, didn't you?
And then the one next to us has a child who has a kidney disease, so he actually does dialysis 3 days a week, and then she takes him to school and picks him up the other 2 days, and he's in preschool there. And then she has a middle schooler as well that she takes and picks up.
And honestly, we don't want to burden our neighbors with our kids. I mean, it's our responsibility. I mean, so we're just asking for a little bit of assistance and it to go back the way it was, where the buses came down and picked up our kids.
And we've never
And
had
dropped
a
them off.
problem with them parking
No.
there. Like, we typically use each other's driveway if need be, and all of the neighbors, even the issue neighbor, has used my driveway as well. They're just not willing to move on this. And, I mean, she's 28 years old.
And lives at home. I mean, I'm not saying that's bad, but,
So
I mean,
she won't even walk 10 more
she's
feet down the road.
inconveniencing our 10-year-olds for her to walk 10 extra feet.
I watch my 6-year-old, I've even tested my 6-year-old getting off the bus and driving like next to them while they're walking down. And I mean, he's 6 and he's back up the street, back down the street, in the road, you know. It's not even just like the whole issue of the sex offender, it's them getting hit by cars, it's them just getting taken. It's really anything. And we, neither of us allow our children to have cell phones.
We don't let them go up to the corner to check the mail.
I do have one question, though. I'm glad you guys came with this. This is good, the signatures. But from what I'm looking at, out of the 6 people that are in the cul-de-sac, you have 3 signatures, correct? And 3 of them not.
No,
Would that be
the
accurate?
cul-de-sac is her, myself, Bill, which is the last signature on there, Michelle is the other signature. The only signature we don't have is the issue, which is right in the middle.
Okay, so you're saying Bill is cul-de-sac also?
Yes, he's next to her, he didn't write his address, he was shaking the whole time.
Okay.
And I forgot to write it down.
Mine's 163. I
So-
don't know if it's 167. I don't know.
So 2 of the 6 have not signed, is what you're saying, of the people that are
Well,
One.
out of the
just
cul-de-sac?
one. There's only really 5. The one next to me is technically out of the cul-de-sac. And the other one across the street signed, and that was hers, and they just weren't home. Everyone we asked signed.
Except for the person parking in the cul-de-sac.
Okay, how about let's set up some time tomorrow? Do you guys have any availability to meet tomorrow with me and Jack Gatlin, our attorney?
What time would be good? I could take off work.
Oh,
No, make it
no, I don't want you
after
to
work.
do that. What time? Yeah. What time are you guys available?
After 5.
After 5 o'clock? Okay. How about I call you, can I text you later?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. How about Friday?
Friday works. I'm off on
We
Fridays.
can meet. Awesome.
Yes, yeah.
Perfect.
Whatever
Okay.
time, just
I
text us.
will, I'll give you a call.
Okay.
The 513 number or the 859?
859 is hers, you
mine.
can call her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the kids usually have mine.
I will call you and we will make an appointment for Friday. Okay?
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other citizens' comments? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the mayor's report. So this has been a really busy past week for the fire department. Erlanger Fire Department assisted Florence and Burlington in an apartment complex fire on Saturday evening. It destroyed 2 buildings consisting of 24 apartments. Then on Saturday or Sunday evening, the Erlanger Fire Department was called out to a house fire on Locust, where multiple explosions had occurred and multiple individuals needed to be transferred to the hospital for injuries incurred as a result. So I just want to thank the fire department for everything that they did, and all the surrounding fire departments that came to assist us. So thank you guys. I also want to give a shout out to Councilman Tyson Hermes for being newly elected to the Planning and Development Services Management Board. Erlanger is now proud to have 2 representatives on that board. He'll join me as one of the 7-member management board that's responsible for the hiring of the executive director, setting direction for PDS staff, and overseeing the crafting of the annual work program, the budget, plus day-to-day operations. Erlanger is playing a pivotal role to drive planning and economic development for the entire county, and we're very proud. Thank you. With Tyson's election, Rebecca Records will move up to be primary. Also, just real quick, tomorrow is the start of the Youth Leadership Academy of Erlanger. So we're meeting for the first time tomorrow in council chambers from 3:30 to 5:30. We're very excited. We have 13 kids signed up from Tishner, Turkey Foot, Summit View, and St. Henry. So it's going to be running from March 6th through May 8th. And we're pretty excited. We have some awesome guest speakers. Judge Knockelman will be joining us. So it'll be a really good program for our 6th graders. That's the end of my report. Now we can move on to reports of the committees. Public Safety, Police, Mrs. Sedkamp, Mrs. Kyle.
Yes, I just want to read a few of the highlights for this month's report, because you all should have received those in your emails. First of all, we completed our first year with Coffee with a Cop, and it's been very successful. We began our second year at the Colonial Cottage last month, February. The next one, I believe, is March 23rd at the Waffle House. I believe that's right. Yes, I'm getting a nod. So if you haven't been to one, please come. Very, very nice group, and you get to meet all of our police officers. And if you have any issues, that's a good time to bring those up. Second of all, the Police Academy completed their 4 weeks of their classes, and they will be graduating on March 14th. I believe that is next week. Here at the City Building. And then we had a group of Lloyd students tour the police and fire departments this month, so that's pretty exciting. Officers Blake and Ernest also gave talks and handed out items to 2 different Girl Scout troops. And then last month, the primary activity of the police training was, of course, the firearms training simulator. And, it's kind of an interesting thing if you've never done that before. And then this kind of jumped out at me, too. Our police clerks, Riffle and Hucker, are now newly qualified via the Kentucky State Police on the criminal justice information systems. And that helps our police department a whole lot, because they can look into things that normally they wouldn't have been able to. And then the last thing that I'm excited about is we have finalized our arrangements in partnership with the Greater Cincinnati International Airport Police. And we're going to utilize the airport range, and the dates have been scheduled for 2019. And that's all I have. Do you have anything, Pat?
And Chiefs announce.
Thank you, guys. Public Safety, sorry, Corinne.
I just want to have a shout out to Officer Ernst and to Officer Blake for the RAD program they did, the Rape Assault Defense. I took it along with Rhonda Wolf, and it was very educational. I learned a lot, and they did a great job. So I just wanted to shout out to them for that.
Thank you. All right, Public Safety, Fire and EMS. Mr. Hermes?
Yes, Chief Whitaker sent out his monthly report to council yesterday, March 4th. I wanted to hit a couple of the highlights from that. over the course of the month in February 2019, there were 341 responses. 225 of those were on the east side of town, and excuse me, I have this backwards. 225 of those were medic-related, and 116 were fire-related. 236 of those were on this side of their central, what they would call central, and 105 of those responses were on the east side of town. They are going through their life safety inspections. They inspect 600 different locations every year. And in the course of the month in February, they inspected 58. And they would need to inspect at least 53 per month in order to reach the necessary, or 53 would be necessary to reach the goal. The upcoming anniversaries for the month of March would be Brad Harden, Greg Holian, Jeremiah Johnson, Brian Brownfield, and Connor East, all celebrating 2 years with the department, as well as Jake Silvati, celebrating 13 years, Craig Stewart, celebrating 20 years, and Rhonda Wolf, celebrating 24 years. Chief's in the house. Is there anything to add? Thank you.
Okay, Public Works, Mr. Skidmore?
Yes, Public Work is next street sweeping will be scheduled in April. They do this 4 times a year. And they also, a lot of people don't know, but they go around every quarter and they check all the street lights. In February, they had 28 lights that was in need of repair. And at the next committee meeting, we would like to make a presentation pertaining to the development of the Riggs Road beautification project. So if that can be done, it'd be great. Mr. Glenn, do you have anything?
Okay, thank you. Just a couple updates on some capital projects that we have ongoing that kind of get forgotten and about over the winter months. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. The Narrows Road, Narrows Nelson Street Improvement Project, that was completed, the street portion of it, December 13th, so we opened it back up to traffic on that Friday. But since then, we've had bad weather, and the restoration of that project is outstanding still, so in the spring, we'll be finishing that up, and that'll include some street lights and some bike path connections into the glades from the new sidewalk that we poured on that street. Another project that we started in the fall would be the Alpha, Beta, Kelly, and Michelle projects. We got as far as completing the Alpha Street replacement portion of it. Everything else remains outstanding, and that will start again here in the spring. Along with the Atlas, Brightleaf, and Center Street projects. And the last council meeting, we talked about receiving bids for that, and that will be starting here again in the spring, and all these projects. So it's 3 contracts and 8 streets that remain outstanding that will all be completed by the end of this budget year, along with our continual sidewalk improvement project. So we're in Zone 2 and kind of finishing up this year's portion of our sidewalk improvements. And the last thing I kind of want to report on is on Dixie Highway Commonwealth. We're doing, we're kind of finishing up with the decorative street light improvements that you kind of see along the Dixie Highway side of it. I'm talking right here along by CVS. So there's some existing, newer but existing decorative street lights out there, and we're going to be adding 7 more lights coming down Dixie Highway and then up Commonwealth right there in front of CVS to kind of complete that, and that will also be done this budget year. Any questions on anything? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Oh,
Oh, actually, not so much a question, but a comment. I just wanted to make sure that council was aware. Robert Martin's funeral, this is Bob Martin's father, who is on Public Works. His funeral is tomorrow morning from 9 o'clock till 1 o'clock at Erlanger Methodist Church.
Thank you. Okay, administration, Mrs. Skidmore, Mrs. Cahill.
All right. The city provides financial support for one graduating senior in the form of $1,500 scholarship to attend an accredited 2- or a 4-year college technical school. The award is based on the ability to succeed in college or technical school, and the deadline is March the 8th. So if you're interested in that, you need to fill out an application. Star Party Flagship Park. Members from the Cincinnati Conservatory will bring their telescopes to Flagship Park to view the stars and the moon. The city will provide glow necklaces for all the kids. The kids love them, and it lets the parents be able to see their kid in the dark. Okay, and that's from 7 until 8:30 on the 9th of March. And then the next one is the Tishner students are allowed to, it's a field trip, and it's like a, what do you call it, like a round robin or something. They go various places. In the morning, one group goes on the school bus, and we tour the city of Erlanger, and there's a historical narration that goes along with their tour. They end up and they get to go to UDF for ice cream, and it's free. And they end up and stick extra ice cream in their pockets because they're just so thrilled to have ice cream. And then the other group, when that group's doing the tour of the city, I'm serious. They did, they stuck it in their pockets. And then the other group is here touring all the different departments, Public Works, Fire Department. I think they actually get to play with some, I'm sorry, they get to learn on some of the equipment from the police department and from the fire department. And then when they're on the bus touring the city, we stop at Public Works and see that. And then everybody gets fed, and then they switch. So everybody gets to do both things, and then they get a goodie bag when it's all over so they don't start playing with their stuff before it's over. And then they get dropped off back at the school. So, and that is the 21st of March.
The Depot Museum will start opening up to the public on Saturday, March the 16th. And the Historical Society's next meeting is on March the 13th at 7 p.m. at the Depot. And I'm glad to announce, or proud to announce, that there's only 1% left of our taxes that needs to be collected. And I think that is an awesome job. 1% of the entire taxes, that's all that's left. So great job, Sherry, and your team. And Sherry's in the, here.
I don't have anything. Okay, Finance and Business Development, Mrs. Pitts, Mrs. Reckers.
We held a Finance Committee meeting on February 19th. The fiscal year 2018 audit report was presented by John Chamberlain at that time. Over the past several weeks, the finance staff has been in the process of compiling all of the 2020 fiscal year department budget data along with the revenue projections. Over the next 2 weeks, the mayor, city administrator, and finance department staff will be meeting to fine-tune the budget requests. A preliminary budget draft will be prepared and presented to the mayor and city council during the March committee meeting on the 19th. Mr. Bodie?
Codes and Building and Zoning, Mr. Burke, Mr. Meyer.
Yes, we've got a couple items on legislation for tonight, two of which are ordinances, the tattoo parlors and pet hotels, adding those to the text of the language. So we split those apart versus the one ordinance that was before. We also have a resolution so that Mr. Hahn can apply for a text amendment allowing private schools into residential zones as a conditional use. Right now it calls for parochial and public schools, so we want to make sure that private schools are allowed there as well. We decided to move forward with a study for Commonwealth Avenue about a potential zoning change. And the last thing is on the March 19th committee, PDS will be here to present the Z21 proposed zoning changes, and they'll present that to council and let them know, what that's about, and there'll be, quite a bit of time that it takes to actually do the analysis to understand how we're changing zoning throughout the city. Mr. Bird?
Mr. Hahn is in the house. Thank you, David.
Okay, you've heard the reports of our committees. Do I entertain a motion that we adopt as presented? Mrs. Kyle, Mr. Hermes. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Reports of representatives. Are there any reports this evening? Ooh.
Okay, we had the Erlanger Commerce Center Connection Task Force meeting, and that was our first one, and we discussed goals of what we wanted. What we discussed was about the road going up to the old Showcase Cinemas where Coke is going to be and everything, and so it's called Houston Road North. And one of our main goals that we wanted to work on right away was the problems that Cherry Hill subdivision's having with semis cutting through Old Erlanger and going up Sycamore. There's been some yard damage, stop signs, and what we found out was that Google Maps is leading these semi drivers who have national driver's licenses, and some of them do not speak English, is leading them if they have a westbound delivery cutting through that neighborhood. So we had to fix that. And then Peter put up some signs, northbound and southbound at the intersection and at the intersection, that says no turns, no trucks turns, and you don't have to be able to read English to see them because there's pictures and diagrams, and it's pretty bold and stands out. So we're hoping in the next couple of weeks that we have some contacts there to see if that helps that a little bit. We're also working on some ideas for smoother traffic flow when all these businesses open, and some beautification. And so that's some of the stuff we discussed on that.
Very good. Thanks for the update. Mrs. Skidmore?
Okay. This is the report for the Kenton County Alliance. Our meeting was today, and it started at noon and ended at 1:45. There were 24 people in attendance. We discussed the upcoming proms and what we could do to deter the drinking and after-party proms. Local florists were contacted about putting an announcement with the corsages about deterring after-prom drinking, and Swan Florist Shop was on board with this. They were ready to help out. And the upcoming sticker shop was discussed. Judy Bauer and I will be doing our usual Erlanger businesses. We know from past experience that the establishments that sell liquor recognize the people who do the sticker shock and are more comfortable about letting us come in and sticker the liquor. A gentleman attended who was one of the local beer distributors, and he commented about why the liquor distributors do not like the plan. Most of the issues he brought up were not seen in Erlanger. He said they were stickering so much that some of the stickers were still on there when the beer was expired. Well, then they were working. Sorry. He complained. North Key made a presentation about Narcan. Narcan only works on opioids. If you do not have opioids in your system, the Narcan will have no effect. All opiates are opioids, but not all opioids are opiates. Okay, I hope that's right. Hawaii is trying to become the first smoke-free state in the United States. And I did not, this next sentence that couple sentences I'm going to tell you, I didn't check this out yet, but it said supposedly there are 2 House bills being considered for passing. Both are connected to education. It involves charter schools. They're House Bill 205 and House Bill 525, and what was presented at my meeting basically said that the money that would be allotted to the charter schools would take away from the money that's allotted for the public schools. But like I said, I haven't, it's Bill 205 and Bill 525. They've got to get it from somewhere. Kenton County Alliance is sponsoring a skate night in Independence at the Independence Skateway, Tuesday, March 12th from 6 to 8:30. Anybody that lives in Kenton County is able to skate free. The Erlanger-Ellesmere Middle School field trip will be Thursday, March 21st, 2019. There will be approximately 60 students allowed to participate in this event. The students are selected by the teachers. The field trip is an all-day event, and they see all the departments. And the next Kenton County Alliance meeting is April the 2nd at the Erlanger branch of the Kenton County Library at noon, and all are invited. End of report.
Thank you. Anybody else? Green?
I forgot Tom Cahill's not here, so I have to do his Stevenson Road report too. So, sorry he's not here. I'd love for him to report this since he's been the leader of all this. We had our first meeting for the Stevenson Road Reconstruction Task Force and discovered the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet put Stevenson Road on their top priority list for the next 6 years, or high priority. They're allocating $8.1 million for reconstruction, and it's separated out in each year. But the construction should begin in 2022 for the reconstruction. However, we do need to meet with District 6 because we have other issues we want addressed as they're doing the reconstruction that we think would be beneficial, and to help with the flooding, safety of sidewalks, and better traffic flow and safety. So it was a good meeting. That's it.
Okay, anybody else? Rebecca?
We met this evening for the Small Business Incentive Task Force. It was basically a goal-setting and brainstorming meeting. Some of our goals include establishing ways to incentivize current businesses, future businesses, and some of our legacy businesses for retention and attraction here in Erlanger. One of our next steps, Mr. Hermes will be drafting a questionnaire that will be distributed to the Erlanger Business Council meeting on 3/12, and our next meeting will be at 3 p.m. on 3/19.
Okay. All right, report of city operations. Mr. Gatlin?
Thank you, Mayor. Real briefly, last night I saw the Z21 presentation that PDS is going to put on for us at the committee meeting in 2 weeks, and it's pretty exciting. I mean, it's pretty cool when you actually see how this is going to be a zoning code for most of Kenton County that literally, you know, there'll be an app for on your phone, and you can, and it's very user-friendly. So right now, if you want a definition, you got to scroll through 143 pages and look for that definition, and now you're just going to be able to click on a link. It's really cool. I'm one of those geeks that I guess gets excited about planning and zoning, but I think y'all will enjoy the presentation that PDS puts on for us in 2 weeks. Mr. Meyer already kind of addressed the legislation that's on. There is a typo in the legislation. I will obviously fix that for the second reading. Several of you in this room know that I do not like Google Docs, that I like Microsoft Word, much superior to Google Docs. And there is a glitch with Microsoft Word. When you put things all in bold, the spell check does not catch them. So, or capital, right, or capital. So I will fix that typo that's glaring at me. But I'd have split up our text amendments. They are first readings tonight. They've been split up for the tattoo parlors and the pet hotels, as was requested by Ms. Pitts. And then we also have on a resolution which is merely sponsoring Mr. Hahn to make application to the Kenton County Planning Commission for a text amendment that would allow for private schools as a conditional use within various residential zones. Interestingly, we currently have as a conditional use parochial schools and public schools. So it doesn't seem like it was contemplated that there might be a private school that's not a parochial school. So it seems like there's a little bit of a hole that's currently in the zoning code. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Kramer, do you have a report?
Yes, thank you. All right, tomorrow I'll be visiting for the second time the past 30 days Frankfurt with some of the other state city administrators to meet with legislators. During my visit, I'll be pushing for funding for Stevenson Road and Houston Road. If there's any other priorities that anybody has, this is a short session, but I do want to put that in their ear for at least for next session. But if there's anything else you'd like me to bring up while I'm down there, please let us know, or let me know tonight or tomorrow morning. Commonwealth School Zone, finally got word back from the state. They do anticipate having it active by this month. They're waiting for a final inspection for the electrical system, and then they'll be requesting power from Duke. But they should have that done this month, so I'll let you know when that happens. Yeah. So the other thing is the budget meetings. We've been working on the budget, and when I say we, I mean Steve, for the most part, getting all the numbers down. We have a pretty good draft right now. The goal is to send it out Monday, as I explained last month, to all of council to review. There still might be some tweaks before the committee meeting when we present it, but at least that'll give you you should have a 98% solution on Monday. And then, so that week before the committee meeting, if there are any bigger issues, please bring them up ahead of time. That way we can kind of address it or make some modifications just to show you what the differences would be if there are any big issues with it. So that's the reason we're giving it a week ahead of time. If email is not good for you or you have issues with that and you want a hard copy, let us know. We can make sure you guys get that. It's obviously an important document for us to get through. So, I do appreciate all Steve's work and many revisions that I bring to him after he sends one out. So I appreciate that, and hopefully he won't kill me by the end of the month here. The other thing is the service line program that was presented last committee meeting. Coincidentally, after that meeting, that next day, I think that's when I went down to Frankfurt and met with some other people that were using them. I did have a lot of concerns after talking to some other people. Also talked to Jack, and he had some legal concerns with it. So once I kind of compile all that, and I think Jack and I are on the same page, so I want to run it through him one more time. I'll send out an email kind of explaining what the issues are and how we want to move forward. It's nothing major like we have to have done, but I want your guys' input on it. It is a good program, but there are some concerns I have for the citizens and how it's represented. So just so when you see that, I apologize that, I know a lot of everybody was saying it was a good program, and I think it is, but there are some issues, so that'll be coming up here. The final thing is we did discuss having a special meeting, next committee meeting at the end, to do a second reading for the tattoo parlor and the pet hotel if needed. So I didn't know if anybody wanted to bring that up, because I know we pushed that back a little bit just to separate them out. If that's something you guys are interested in doing to move that along for those businesses, that's definitely an option.
Are you thinking like to do that before or after the committee meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. I would agree.
Pending anyone's questions, that's all I have.
Does anybody want to make a motion to have the special meeting?
Do we need a motion? I mean, you can just call the meeting, right?
Yeah. So
that
I just
fine?
want to make sure, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, you've heard the reports from the representatives and city operations. Do I entertain a motion that we adopt as presented? Mrs. Kyle, Mrs. Sedkamp. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Mrs. Hoffman, do we have any correspondence this evening?
We do. Ed Milliken with the Public Works Department received an email from residents, Nick and Amy Hart. They wanted to thank Ed and the Public Works team for fixing their curb. They said that it was exceptional customer service, and we felt that they and the team went above and beyond. And that's all I have.
Very good, thank you. All right, Mrs. Hoffman, are there any bids tonight?
No, ma'am.
Does anybody have any old business to discuss? Mrs. Sedkamp?
Yeah, I'm about as old as you're going to get. I just wanted to thank everybody for, I got over 100 cards. I got flowers, I got phone calls, prayers, Dixie chili, when I was craving Dixie chili. Seriously, I'm so blessed. Rick Bowl said tonight he's so blessed. I think I'm more blessed than he is, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wouldn't be here without all your love and prayers. Thank you.
We're very happy that you're back. Okay, does anybody have any new business? Mrs. Pitts?
Some meetings I say nothing, and others can't shut up. So I attended a Rotary meeting, and they had representatives from Go Pantry there. And they operate solely out of Boone County, and they're trying a pilot program. Oh, sorry. They're trying a pilot program in Kenton County, and they're using Miles Elementary, and they're going to start with 20 needy students. And they're doing food bags during the school year, and then they're doing food boxes during breaks in summertime. And they work with Master Provisions to do this for storage, and they're getting so big that they're looking for bigger places for storage. If anybody knows of a place, please let us know. They put these food baskets and boxes together 4 times a year. They send out emails with sign-ups for 2-hour shifts, and they fill up pretty good, but it sounds like a great way to volunteer a couple hours for a good cause. If anybody wants to do food drives for one of these, or interested in volunteering or knows of a place for storage facility for them, you could go to gopantry.com or their Facebook page, or I have their contact info if anybody just wants to get a hold of me. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Anybody else? Oh, Tyson.
I would like to add an item to the committee meeting discussion in 2 weeks about the possibility of creating an ordinance to reduce the size of city council.
Are you leaving?
Not hardly.
Okay. We're going to move forward to legislation, if everybody's good.
The first is an ordinance amending the Erlanger zoning ordinance, adding tattoo parlors as a conditional use within the NC neighborhood commercial zone. This is a first reading by summary. This was recommended by both the PDS staff, and after a public hearing held on January 10th, 2019, the Kenton County Planning Commission felt that tattoo parlors was a proper amendment to our neighborhood commercial zone based on that it is consistent within the purpose of the NC zone. The proposed text amendment is reasonable, and that the proposed text amendment would not have an adverse effect on public health, safety, or welfare. This is a first reading. Next, we have an ordinance amending the Erlanger zoning ordinance, adding pet hotels as a conditional use with the NC neighborhood commercial zone. Again, this public hearing was held on January 10th, 2019. The PDS staff recommended the proposed text amendment, and it was recommended by the Kenton County Planning Commission on the following basis. One is that the proposed text amendment is consistent within the purpose of the neighborhood commercial zone. The proposed text amendment is reasonable, that pet hotels are similar in scale and intensity as other current uses with the NC zone, and that the proposed text amendment will not have an adverse effect on the public health, safety, or welfare. And that also is a first reading. Finally, we have a resolution sponsoring a proposed text amendment. As discussed, we are requesting that the council approve for Dave Hahn as the city's economic director to act as an agent of the city's legislative body to apply and propose the following to be studied and set for a public hearing pursuant to KRS 200.211, a text amendment amending sections 10.02, 10.03, 10.04, 10.05, 10.06, 10.07, 10.09, and Section 1010 of the Erlanger zoning ordinances. Those are all residential zones to allow private schools as a conditional use. And as previously discussed, we already have as a conditional use both parochial and public, so this would just add private to that bucket as a conditional use. And that will require a motion.
No emotion.
Oh, okay. Mr. Hermes and Ms. Kyle? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Do I entertain a motion that we adjourn? Mrs. Kyle and Mr. Hermes. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Have a good night.